Hi, sixth grade. Today we are focusing on the second part of your research, and that is doing research using online resources. So just a quick reminder about how database research and internet research are two different things. Last week we looked at how the databases can be found through our library collection, and we went through Schoology to get to those databases. So what you're going to be finding in terms of doing some internet research is not like what you would find with the databases. Databases are paid for by our school district. They're things that you can only have access to because you're a student in our district and because you go to Valley Middle School. They're content that has been purchased by teachers and librarians to support your research, and it's only available because you're a student with us. These are not things that you're going to be able to find when you go to the internet. So these are two very separate pieces. Hopefully the databases and all the articles and things that you were able to find on your person that you're researching was helpful. Now you're going to be looking at some of what anybody could find, because anyone has access to the internet as long as you have Wi-Fi and all that. So this chart just reminds you that the internet, the things there is information that has not been evaluated maybe for accuracy. There might be some incorrect information there. Some resources, are free. Some cost money. Some might have nothing to do with your topic. So when doing internet research, we do have to be careful and make sure and evaluate the resources that we're looking at before determining whether or not they are useful for our topic. With that being said, we would do a lot more on this if we were together in a classroom, but I wanted to take a couple of minutes to go over how to find a credible internet source. If we are looking at researching a person, we're going to be wanting to make sure that the websites that we're looking at are actually telling us truthful information, accurate information. This is a quick video. I think it's about 1.5 minutes long. That's going to go over a couple things to keep in mind when trying to determine if a website is one that can be trusted. Let's take a look.
Created using Powtoon.
So that video had a lot of information, but really what the idea here is to think about what makes a website, a valid source. Some of the questions that you might ask are asked here. The 5 W's: who created the website? Is the person or the company that created it an expert on the topic? Does the website cover what we need for the project? Does it answer some of the questions that you're hoping to find out the answers to? They highlighted there that the copyright date, is it recent enough for the information that you need? When was it last updated? Can you find a date on there? Sometimes if a date can't be found, that's kind of a red flag that perhaps this website is not really all that trustworthy. Where do you find the website on the World Wide Web? What do all parts of the URL tell you? That .edu, .gov, some of those things, .com can be some indicators. about whether or not that's a trustworthy site. A .edu, a .gov, those are websites that are typically websites that are more trustworthy because they are websites that have been fact checked. They often have had lots of you know things that have been looked at, and they've been well researched. Finally, that last question there, why do you think the website was published? Thinking about the purpose behind it. Was it there to give educational information, entertain, give an opinion, sell something, maybe even trick you into giving it your information? So when looking at a website, before just blindly believing everything that it says, one really does want to make sure to say to yourself, does this look like a legitimate website? If it's popping up with all kinds of ads, for example, that might be another red flag to say, this doesn't seem like a website that is probably going to be have the most the most factual information. Might not be a site that's trying to give me information. It looks like it's trying to sell me something. And so we have to ask ourselves some of those questions as we're looking at the internet. We didn't have to do that with database sources like we talked about last week, but with internet sources, we do have to ask ourselves those questions. We have to be more careful and cautious. For the purpose of your research, I did select already what I feel are some of the best websites out there for researching people. You'll notice a couple of these have the word biography right in them. And of course, we know already that the word biography is the story of a person's life. You'll notice here the ending part of the URL is a .net or a .gov. And so again, looking for those reputable websites where we have already some more trust in the fact that this is not going to be a website that, a student created for a project or, for something like that. You will have a chance to take a look at these websites and of course many, many more as you're researching people, but I'd recommend these would be some great places to begin. I won't go through all of these with you. One that I'd like to start with is teachingbooks.net. This one is on our library homepage as well. It's great, especially if you happen to be focusing your research on an author, because it has information all about authors. We used Gordon Korman as our example last time. We're going to do the same here. Type in his name. I'm going to click on his name here. It brings up 94 total resources about him. And if I click on the About the Author, it looks like it even has author interviews. So again, like the databases, maybe some videos, some audio things that I can check out. I want to point out that under the About the Author, one of the things that it brings me to is a personal website for Gordon Korman. For many of your famous people, a great website for research is going to be a personal website for your person. Looking at this with that website evaluative eye, as I look at this looks professional, bright colors, clean font. I don't see ads popping up all over the place. If I scroll down to the bottom, even seeing this part here about stay healthy and safe, it looks as though this has been updated fairly recently. So just at a quick glance, right off the bat, it looks as though this would be, and I'd have to read a little bit more to just make sure that this looks like a website that can be trusted. But, if we were to, in fact, scroll down to the bottom here, we could find out if we've got a date here, and we do. It tells us a little bit more about who created the website. So again, looks like a website that could be trusted. So, a good place to go, besides the ones that I've put on this slide for you to look up information about your person, might be just the person's personal website. I'll show you another website example here just so that you have a chance to see another one. Some of these are going to list out information, biographies, and they list them by category. So depending on if you're researching an actor, an artist, an entrepreneur, you'd want to probably go ahead and select the category first and then type in the name of the person that you're looking for. So I hope that a few of those websites give you a good place to begin. And I hope that you will reach out to your teacher or to me if you need some other website ideas of places to go. Simply typing your person's name into Google, you're going to also end up with probably a lot of junk, a lot of websites that you're going to have to sort through. You may end up spending more time sorting through the junk that way. This could be a good place to begin, starting with one of these websites and seeing what kinds of good resources you can find, because there's lots of good stuff out there. One last piece before we stop today. Reminder that you have to give credit as you're doing research to let people know where you found your information. If we were sitting together in the classroom, we'd be going over probably how to write a formal bibliography and how to keep track of your sources in a way that makes it very easy. And there's ways to do that by alphabetizing everything. And hopefully as seventh graders, we'll get a chance to go back to doing that again. We talked last week in the database presentation about how easy it is with databases to just copy and paste the citation. They've done that for you. With internet sources, you will need to do a little bit more than just this. But for this purpose with distance learning, I think if you can find these 4 pieces of information for your internet source, I think you'll probably be in good shape. If you can find the author name, if it's given, for whatever internet source you found, the name of the article or the page on the website and put that in quotation marks. If you can jot down the website address up to the .com or the .gov, you don't need to write out the whole rest of the address. And then also put down the date that you looked at the website. And the reason this is important is just in case there are any changes made to it. That way anybody looking at your research would know that. So just to go back here for a moment to our teaching books example, let's go to the Gordon Corman's personal website. Let's say I read some of this information about him off of his website, and I want to use this as one of my resources. So I've got the website right up here, right? GordonCorman.com. Looking at the very bottom of the screen, it looks like this is created by Gordon Corman himself. The website is by Jeffrey Korn Creative. So if I am going to my page, my Google Doc, where hopefully you've already been starting to keep track of some other places that you've gotten information, I'm going to put down Gordon Corman's name. I'm doing last name, comma, first name, because that's the right format for a bibliography. The name of the web page is going to come next. Hope I'm not making you dizzy going back and forth. And I suppose the name of this web page is really just Gordon Corman because it's his site. So you'll see I'm just following my directions up here. Last name, comma, first name, the name of the page. The web address is www.gordoncorman.com. And the date that I found it, May 15th, 2020. Now again, this is not all correctly formatted or anything. It's not even all the information that we would necessarily need. But I think for the purpose of distance learning and just keeping track of the fact that I'm using this website for research, it's probably enough. Please let me know if I can help you with any piece of the research as you're working on this from here on out. Thanks so much and good luck.